what would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the president. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the around the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can we drop my membership from this useless parliament?
Yes, Honorable Member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill the mother, kill the poor, the farmer.
Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect who is in the gospel bride, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. This is going into that apartheid and that so-called genocidal Salakia has something in my throat, but the so-called genocidal act that transpired in South Africa with those South African farmers allegedly being part of racial genocide or on the opposing end of racial genocide to those Edomite farmers, which that's the pot calling the kettle black. Because for one thing, how the hell did you get in that land? Second of all, who gave you the right to that land? Third of all, that ain't your land. So now, when the shoe is on the other foot, Esau wants to cry victim, and this is what he do. Okay, as the scriptures say, he should seek the birthright with tears. He's quick to throw a rock, but he has a completely glass house. And then when everybody's on his ass, he wants to look dumbfounded and he wants to blame everybody else for his atrocities, man. And that's what Amalek is doing over there in the land of Israel, because every time you listen to Amalek talk, there's always a sense of entitlement and a sense of victimization. Oh, well, we're a victim. You know, they hate JOOs and they this and this and that, and they trying to take the land. I mean, literally, Amalek could drop a bomb on your city and justify himself for killing millions of people. But the minute you throw a brick at his window, oh my God, that's NTS and they hate Jews and well, you the one that started the hate first, bro. So it says, watch President Trump clash up with South African President Ramaphosa in Oval Office. And this guy here in the left, he's a sellout, okay? He's completely in bed with America. I don't give a damn how tranquil and how innocent he wants to play. At the end of the day, he wants that funding because, believe it or not, South Africa, they believe in democracy as well. And what proves that this is all a dog and pony show is because, for one thing, if you are a leader of Africa or a South African country, why in the hell do you have the attire of the so-called white man on if you was really against what they were doing? Because look, he has a suit and tie on, and Esau has the suit and tie on. And what are the chances that Trump has the blue tie on and this guy has the red tie on? Good cop, bad cop, right? That's the witchcraft. That's the sorcery of it all, right? Bald face, you know, no beard, no nothing, you know? And yet you're supposed to be in Africa, which is supposed to be a country that's supposed to be sovereign from Edomite oppression in some cases. But yeah, you clearly completely in bed with the West, man. But what you're hearing is the guy, I don't know who this guy was, but he was basically saying, who the hell is the so-called white man to tell us what we can do and what we can't do when they have a history of mass genocide? And that's the absolute truth, man, if I've ever heard it. Because Esau, Edom, how did he get this side of the world? How did he take America? How did he take Haiti or the Dominican Republic? How did he take Israel? Okay, same means to apartheids, man, which most apartheids are done through genocide. You know, you rape, rob, murder, and pillage the lands, and then you set up a colony and you set the indigenous people. Either you kill them off or you put them in slavery under your dictatorship, man. And this is why the world is rising up against Esau, because the world was seeing him for the hypocrite and the devil that he really is. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and we're going to get a couple of precepts, and we'll let that be that. But here we go. And another thing, too, is when you read the comments, there's always some justification bullshit as to what they did. You know, like if you bring up the fact, well, how do you got America? They would say, well, that wasn't us. That was our forefathers. Well, you are your forefathers. Oh, shit. Then another thing, too, what they would say is, well, we giving you jobs. We've colonized, you know, we've given you civilization. And that's a damn lie. OK, the reason why you give niggas jobs is because you get tax breaks from that shit. And not only that, a modern day job is nothing but slavery because you still tax to death. Even if you give somebody a job, you still are setting up tenets and systems of oppression over people in their lives, man. So you're not as noble as you think, you know?
The man of D-A-N-D-E is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Pashama and Sunni will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot, kill, Yamasa, kill the brewer, the farmer, kill the brewer, the farmer.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
Shoot to kill! Come on, sir! Kill the poor! The farmer! Kill the poor! The farmer!
I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
And that's that taunting proverb that these nations are taking up against Esau, man. Because Trump come back and say, well, I think he showed like some documentations of the white farmers that was so-called brutally mass genocide, which, come on, man, compared to the amount of people you've murdered in cold blood, you bitching over a few Edomite farmers when the numbers were relatively low. Like, bro, you have no weight, you have no leverage when it comes to stuff like that, because your whole existence since you were king all the way down to Lamech, going down to Esau to Haman, your history has been shredded and shrouded in straight murder, bloodshed, death, thievery, robbery, murder, more bloodshed. And that's just what you are, E. Okay, you're a fucking murderer, man. And this is why the world is getting ready to overthrow you. So let's get a preset real quick. Then I'll go to this scripture. Then I'll go to this article I got. But this is the book of Micah 2, and I'm going to start at verses 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evils upon their beds. And when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Yeah, you know, they go to these countries and they send a U.S. military with a briefcase full of money. And, you know, they deal with you depending on what you accept from them or not. So if it comes to the point that you don't want to play ball with them, then eventually, you know, they have found a way to overthrow you. Because at the end of the day, they want to police the world. They want complete control over everybody's resources. They want autonomy over you, your land, you know, and they want to put you in slavery while building up their Edomite foundations, man, with their Confederate statues and slavers and, you know, Starbucks and all this other shit and their fast food restaurants. This is all they want to do, man. And then this is why the other nations are looking at them like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, they don't fuck with y'all. Hey, Iran, they don't fuck with America like that. Okay, the Saudis was in business with you because they had a deal. The petrodollar versus oil, you know, petroleum and dealing trades and so forth like that, which kept the Saudis and pretty much rich. But overall, those Arab nations don't deal with Esau, man. And it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. And this is what you did. It says, in houses and take them away, so that they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. I mean, it's to the point, how do you oppress a man in his heritage? To the point you got a bunch of imposters on the world stage saying they're us, screaming all types of loaded statements. And when the minute you say that they're not the people, then all of a sudden they get to say, well, you anti-Semitic. Oh my God, you're anti this, you're anti that. How the hell am I anti for saying that I'm a Hebrew Israelite by blood and you people are imposters? How the fuck is that hatred when it's just a true statement? And they play this victim card when the whole world knows that you are, the whole world is pointing at you, man. Okay, you literally are getting caught. You're literally in a spotlight. You got caught in the spotlights with your pens down and you still trying to point the blame on everybody else. And it says, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. So I got this book called Destruction of the West Indies by this guy by the name of, his name is, what the fuck is this dude name, man? Lacasas, Bartholomew Lacasas, right? He wrote a book called Destruction of the West Indies, when they showed you the horrific destruction and murder of the indigenous people of the Americas, man. All right. So it says here, account written by the Spanish Dominican Friar Bartolomé de las Casas, 1542, published in 1552, about the mistreatment and of atrocities committed against the indigenous people of the Americas in colonial times and sent to then Prince Philip II of Spain. But see, when you bring up this bloody history, then all of a sudden they want to turn a blind eye to it. Or they want to make all types of justifications. Well, we don't believe that anymore. You know, that was then. That was then. But you're still doing the same shit to this day, because look at what the hell you're doing to those Palestinians, man. Okay, look at what the hell you did to Bashar al-Assad, even though a lot of those are crypto Amalekites. But nonetheless, look at what you've done around the world. And not to mention the other genocidal takeovers that he's doing that's not being put on before the news, or that's not being put on blast. You know? So he's still doing the same shit. The whole ethnic cleansing of the land of Israel, just the same shit. You moved in there and you pushed the people out, and then you assumed the land for yourself. Then you set up these wicked-ass judicial systems, these courts that forge your bidding. America's been totally hijacked by Edomite supremacy, man. But then you got the audacity to try to fuss at somebody because they getting tired of your ass? Hell nah, shit, everybody's tired of you. But it says here, the destruction of the Indies marks a significant moment in the way the 21st colonial Latin America historians will address world history. It says, by comparing what historians know about or know today about colonial Latin America, that the descriptions and recommendation given by de las Casas in a short account, they are able to understand more about European biases, prejudice, and an outlook on colonization of the Americas. Okay, so when you look up colonization, right, and we're going to look this up. Now, It says the action or process of settling among establishing control over the indigenous people of a land. Okay? The action by a plant or animal of establishing itself in an area. And a slang term for that is basically you came in and you deboed the shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what you did. Nigga, you took red bite. You know, like what my man Debo said. He said, nigga Red came up to him. He said, that nigga was like, he said, Pop's tripping, man. He said he want me to ask for my bike back. He said, you know I won't trip. That nigga Debo like, he said, what bike? Then he said, oh, that bike. He said, I ain't know you wanted it back, homie. He said, it's right here. Follow me, Holmes. And then he cuffed his ass, you know, and knocked him out and took his shit. He said, I do, but I want to spend Red's money. They took the nigga chain off his neck. Had Red terrified, man. So that's what Esau did. He came over here and he deboed the land, man. And he's still deboing shit. You know? But it says here, De La Casa's The Short Account was revised history of the conquest in the way that included facts that will aid him in his argument. But let's go down here. It says, in his earlier writings, De La Casas advocated the defense of indigenous people by recommending the use of African slaves who put us in slavery, Esau, as an alternative to indigenous people, but later repudiated the suggestion and condemned both the enslavement of the indigenous people of the African peoples and Africans, right? And those so-called Africans are Israelites, just like the indigenous people of this land. Okay, Gad and Reuben, Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, you know, indigenous peoples to this land. See, look, peep this. Natives of Kumana attacked the mission. Because they had to fight to get this devil off of them, man. And then they colonized this side of the world. So this man got a lot to pay for. Zechariah 11. And I'm going to start at verses 5. It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed is the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Yeah, and this is Esau's, he has that surprise gesture when you bring up these accounts, man. That's why, the scriptures say that the world, roughly paraphrase, he should be chased out of the world as a dream, because the whole world is rising up against Esau. They see it now. You know, with all this shit with the COVID shit coming out. Now I was looking at something on the Economic Times that came out 2 days ago. It says the M to the N to the M to the R to the N to the capital A, the COVID, Maxine Waters caused 74% deaths. God damn, that's more than half. Dr. McCullough's chilling revelation, right? Now, after 4.5 years, they decided to bring this shit out after we've been saying it before they even administered this shit, that they was going to come with something that was going to make people sick and die off. And we was labeled conspiracy theorists. We were told we were crazy. Family disowned us. I'm talking about brothers-in-law's jobs for not getting that shit. And ultimately, we got a ton of pages taken down. I've lost 2 YouTube pages behind that shit. And it was so bad to the point they was still clipping videos from 2020, 2021, all the way up in 2023. I was still getting videos clipped every week because we brought out so much information on what that bullshit was. And yet now it's coming out and we didn't get a fucking apology. They didn't put our channels back up, you know what I'm saying, let alone a goddamn dollar. Now, if we were petty, we'd just do a class action lawsuit and get our shit back. But it ain't that deep because we understand that comes with the territory. So this fucking dude got a lot to pay for, man. Excuse my French, but this man is the devil, man. And he's getting exactly what he deserves. But it says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, for they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not, man. You know, because you got sellouts like this that's in bed with these freaking Edomites, man. And you heard the other dude cussing his ass out in the background. And of course, you're going to have Trump that's going to try to justify, basically try to justify himself and basically stated that the white farmers were targets of racism, when that's all the fuck you do is target people with racism, man. What about what's this guy's name? Ryan, that boy that got shot in the back 2 weeks ago, shot like 6 times because a cop lied and said he aimed a gun at him when they was in a steamer. Cop gunned that boy down in cold blood, so his father came and retaliated. But you don't think that was an act of racism of them gunning that boy down in cold blood? Of course it was an act of racism, because that's how the fuck Esau is. He's a damn racist, man. All of them, you know? So this is the book of Numbers 35, and I'm going to start at verses 33. It says, "So ye should not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it." So you shed blood in this land, all right? You stole America. You stole parts of Africa. You stole Israel. You stole Europe. You stole every goddamn thing. And, hey, you're going to have to get, the Lord is going to recompense you, man. That's how about Shimmy Havashai works, and we're seeing it. We're seeing you devils reap what you sow, because the whole world is coming up against you. And everybody knows that the small hat is not the victim. Okay, you small hats are responsible for 99.5% of the genocide on the planet Earth, and that's just the truth. Okay, who the fuck you think funded slavery? Who the hell you think funded these voyages for conquest for Columbus to come over here and do what he did? You small hats funded that, man. All right, because not even 100 years later, you had the Southern Kingdom, which consists of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, come over here on cargo slave ships, and you financed the slave ships, man. That's why the ports were closed on small hat holidays, because basically you funded it. So you're a cult, man. You know? So it says here, "Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I am the Lord, for I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel." But the point is, your blood has to be shed according to the scriptures, because now, I mean, you got to reap what you sow. Okay, you've sown literally thousands of years in wickedness, and we're talking about all your rulerships combined. Okay, from this 600 years from the Renaissance, prior to that, when you were the Romans, when you were the Greeks, even when you had your hand in the Babylonians grabbing us up, and even during the time of the Persians, I believe, was it when it was, what was it, Haman and Agagite? Salakia, my history get mixed up, but you had a lot of blood on your hands, man. All right, so now it's time for you to pay up, bro. All right, and the Lord is gonna see to it. Go to the book of Isaiah 14, and I'm gonna start at verses 21. It says, "Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers." So you can't use that. Well, that was my father, my granddad Bob. He was a racist. I love black people. Nigga, you are Bob in the reincarnation, bro. It says that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. That's right, man, because the Lord understands your wickedness. Okay, Esau is a cancer that has to be cut off at the root, because if you allow Esau to spread, he will spread his poison among people, and this is why the world is all fucked up now. Like, it's so crazy, because like you got these YN niggas or these Jakes. So I don't know how the hell these niggas that wear Crocs and basketball shorts or swimming trunks with black t-shirts on with different colored dreads, they over there in Japan and South Korea getting shorties, man. You know, women are loving them, all because of the image that Esau paints to them out here. You know, so Esau has took that poison and he spread it among the world. This is why the average Arab chick or the East Indian chick, or, you know what I'm saying, women that comes from those particular modest cultures, this is why they come to America and they act like a bunch of whores, man. Because the poison that Esau spread it. Okay, that's the philosophies, man, that wine. The whole world is drunken off the wine of America, man. This is why you can go to Saudi Arabia and see hijab women driving vehicles, man, when that was not heard of. But it says, "For I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of hosts, and cut them off from Babylon, the name, the remnant, and son, and nephew, says the Lord," man. And that's the point. He's going to cut you off at the roots, you know, because like I said, you're the border of wickedness. All right. Let's go to the book of Job. There's a Job 5. read Job. Job 20. God. It's the book of Job 20, and I'm going to start at verses 5. It says that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. It says, though your excellency mounts up to the heavens, and his hair reaching into the clouds, yet he should perish forever like his own dung. Yeah, because it's to the point, like when you flush, when you flush bile down the toilet, you don't look for it to come back up. That's waste. It's designed to get out of the body because it's toxic. If it stays in the body, it makes you sick. It says, where is he? And it says, and he should fly away as a dream and should not be found. Yea, he should be chased away as a vision of the night. Yeah, you're going to be chased away, man. And the world is waking up to you, starting with Amalek, because really, Amalek is really the problem. I mean, all these devils are the problems, but Amalek is the main culprit. He's the main benefactor behind this Edomite world we in, man. Amalek, he gets it all. Okay, nobody can speak out against him. Nobody can condemn him. No matter what, he can literally spit in your father's face while he's on his deathbed, and you slap the shit out of him. You'll go to jail for fucking hate crime while he gets away scot-free. Think the world ain't tired of that shit? Hell yeah, the world is tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. And it says here also, the eyes which see him, it says the eyes also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. And it says his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. But his bones are full of sins of his youth, which he shall lie down with him. It says, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gasp of ouse with him. All right. And that's the point, man. The Lord is getting ready to break their ass in peace. Okay. Matter of fact, let me find another precept real quick. Chase. Scripture says he should be chased out of the world, I think. Chased out of the world. Yep. Job 18. Yep. 18. I'm going to start at verses 14. It says his confidence should be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it should bring him to the king of terror. Amalek is getting desperate. This is why that whole ordeal between Trump and Putin is getting ready to escalate. And then you got Trump and Netanyahu, who are B.B. Mikowski. They're not really seeing eye to eye now. You know what I'm saying? And Trump is threatening to take aid back and to take his support back from Israel. But that's not going to happen because the scriptures say the least of the flock should draw them out. So the small hats are going to do something to draw, because I don't think America is going to deliberately enter into a war with Russia just off the strength of America being who they are. Israel going to do something that's going to force them into the war, because if you notice, Trump don't want no smoke with Russia, man, because he knows that's endgame. But Amalek going to do something stupid, which is going to drive America into this third world war by default. And it says here, and it says it should dwell in his tabernacle because it is none of his. Brimstone should be scattered upon his habitation and the missiles. It says his roots should be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. And his remembrance should perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. It says he should be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world. And you're being chased out of the world now. Okay, everybody is getting rid. Everybody getting tired of your ass. Going back into Cain, how he was a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. Bro, the gig is up. Okay, the disguise is wearing off. People are pointing you out. Okay, you own every type of wanted post, and nobody wants you in a land. And every land where you Amalekites have dwelt, you've been kicked out. Okay, you got kicked out of Spain, kicked out of Poland. You got kicked out of every fucking where, man. And the Lord is getting ready to kick you out of our land because you don't belong there. All right, you're going headfirst in slavery where you belong. And it says he shall neither have son or nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings, and they that come after him should be astonished at his day, as they that went before were affrighted. It says, surely are such the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not the Most High, which is in captivity. One more precept and I end it. Then I'll play a little bit more of that video. Habakkuk 2, and I'm going to start at verses 6. It says, should not these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him? And that's what that dude did. It says, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. But how long? And to him that laden himself with thick clay. That's debt. It says, shall they not suddenly rise up that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou should be into booties unto them, which is spoils. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land and of the city, and all that dwell therein. Right. So you want to complain about genocide, but what about the apartheid that puts you in that land, which you have the generous like Elon Musk to come up for? You know, this guy Elon Musk is a benefactor of that apartheid in South Africa, man. And all of a sudden he's worth 400 some fucking $billion. I'll be mad at your ass too. But it says here, woe to him that covered evil covenants to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Because thou hast condemned shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and that sin against thy soul. Okay. And that's the point. You fucked up. You know, the whole chapter is really good. 15, it says, woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou may look upon his neck, their nakedness. For thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. For the Lord's right hand should be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing should be upon thy glory. And this is why we're seeing the world come up against you, man. All right, so anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Lord's will, you were edified. Until the next lesson, Shalom.
Was not caused for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't ever see the future.
David, and you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter. They freak out. It sounds like a genocidal.
I can't take it.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses. Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. I don't. Okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa.